This is big, scary Ontario independent pro wrestler Holden Albright, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and interviewing your favorite indie talent. And every Saturday and Wednesdays on YouTube and Castbox. I am your host, James J. With me tonight on time, Kaliko Yards.
I mean, that's like the Ja Rule song. I'm always there when you call, but I'm always on time. Murder. What up, y'all?
Somebody that's not on time, Mitch Mayhem, who's not here at the moment. And somebody that's always here, Scooter Dust.
McClunky.
Something tells me you don't even leave the chat when we're done with the show. You just keep it open for the whole duration of the week.
No, I close out Google Chrome because I have no use for it personally. But
It just sounds like he got his kids under control.
I do have to say though, my nephew, who is a Twitch streamer, gave our Wrestling with Entertainment interview with Masha Slamovich a big old plug last night on his stream.
Oh, awesome. We're making it big, aren't we? We're getting Twitch likes now.
Yeah.
Shout
Yeah.
out.
9 people heard it.
It's like coming to America. Right now, you're making shredding lettuce. Then you'll work the fries. Then you'll be the manager. And that's when the big bucks start rolling in.
It's Ryan Dust, correct?
Yes.
Shout out to Ryan Dust. And it's a great day for wrestling. And a great day for Brandi Rhodes, as unfortunately she got injured. The same injury that plagued Becky Lynch and Renee Young. She is indeed
feminist. Please don't kill us.
She is indeed pregnant with Cody Rhodes' child that we are aware of. Congratulations. Anybody wants to make any comments about that?
I would give them parenting advice, but they are well above an economic class that their experience will be totally different than mine. So congratulations to them.
Now, is it possible that Shaq could be the father?
Ooh.
That would be some Jerry shit.
But, talking about Brandi Rhodes, it seemed like she was maybe starting a rivalry with Jade. I can't remember her last name. And it seemed like they were going into a rivalry before, she got injured. So, do you think it's maybe never the right time for Brandi to, get in the ring? Scooter?
It's very hard to say. I mean, I'm not sure if at this point we can officially declare Brandi Rhodes to be one of those infamous, wrestling jinxes, so to speak.
Right.
But a jinx unto herself, really.
I wouldn't necessarily say jinx, but I would say, every time she kind of jumps off the ground, she never stays in the air for too long. If that's a good analogy or no.
Yeah, that's probably a better analogy. I wouldn't say it's bad luck or bad timing. I always just got the feeling that Brandi Rhodes was in a bit of a hurry to get what she was doing over with the crowd.
Which never
And
necessarily worked.
and if one thing didn't work, she immediately went to something else. The following, like with the Nightmare, was it the Nightmare Coalition or whatever?
I thought it was Syndicate.
God, who knows at this?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember it being there, and then the next week it just wasn't.
Right. Same
So-
could be said about Awesome Kong. What say you, Kaliko?
I mean, that just sounds like a bunch of ideas that just were trying to stick to the wall, per se. Granted, it, granted, her latest outing kind of got her in some heat with with Black Twitter because of the way how she presents herself in real life is a little different than how she was trying to present herself with the whole coding issue. There was that, pun intended, coding. Hey, but anyways, but I to me she seems sweet, so it's not like she's trying. You can tell she like loves the business. It's just nothing is sticking with her, and she's just trying any and everything to entertain people. So I mean, that's the best she could. That's the best idea she could do. Maybe her having time off with being pregnant can actually, get people to miss her. So when she comes back, it's a little bit better. And then they'll forget all about that. We forget shit after 2 weeks. So 9 months would feel like 20 years.
And something we're probably gonna forget in 2 weeks as well. AEW hits ratings high and Raw hits ratings low. At this point, does ratings even matter at this point, Scooter? But AEW is definitely going to toot their own horn about it.
I would think ratings now matter more than ever with more TV being watched in record numbers. I mean, it's so much to the point where USA wants essentially Monday Night Raw retooled.
But that's not really their call to make, is it?
Ooh, that depends on the point of view. I mean, that's an interesting topic to peruse. How much influence can a network have on the content that it airs, especially when that programming is live? At this point, I would see Vince doesn't have the power that he used to, where he can't say, "Oh, I'll take Raw somewhere else," because essentially, remember they've got shows on the networks of two of the biggest companies in the world, the two biggest companies.
Right.
Fox with Disney and USA with Universal, and Viacom and whatnot. So, if Vince were to, not give in to USA and say, "Oh, I'm going to take my ball and go elsewhere," the USA would call him on his bluff and say, "Okay, go."
Because they're not getting the traction that they used to get.
USA would be just as happy and probably even have higher ratings if they put another Dick Wolf show on Monday night, in syndication.
That is not wrong. But let's go on the opposite end of that spectrum. AEW, they're hitting ratings high. It's not exactly WCW in '98, but they seem to be happy with it. Should they be happy with it, or do you think that maybe they should maybe aim a little higher?
It's
That's a good question.
Kaliko, you want to answer?
I'll say it this way. Yes, they should be happy, but the problem is it's always with the follow through. And to me, like going back to Raw, yes, they need to retool and improve. But to me, from what I've been seeing, TV on a whole, like ratings on a whole, has been low. Like the NBA Finals had the Los Angeles fucking Lakers, which is like one of the most known teams in the NBA, and they had a ratings low. So that tells you, like, to me, live sports is missing that crowd element because that is what makes people want to tune in. Like, as much as people want to see the action on the court, it's also hearing those oohs and ahs on a good ass play or a good ass block, and everyone's hurting on that except maybe NFL, but NFL in itself is a betting machine more so than actual sports. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I not saying that they don't need to retool because they do need to improve, considering that they're pretty much the wrestling gig in town, and they need to do something about that. But TV as a whole, honestly, like, to me, honestly, it's like a bunch of people streaming shit, and that to me is going to be the future now because everyone is HBO Max and even NBC is going into streaming, and I wouldn't be surprised TNT is going into streaming. Everybody's trying to do the streaming game now because now they know people. It's easier to get people to pay on a subscription and forget it than to try to get it through the cable people.
Yeah, that's the other thing, and Khalil becomes a very good point. Is that these are Nielsen ratings we're talking about, and at this point, the Nielsen ratings are such a they're a minority now in the in the world of entertainment that, again, these ratings don't take into account streaming, YouTube,
on demand, YouTube clips, Twitter mentions, Instagram
DVR,
mentions. Yep.
Plus, also, AEW airs the episode again.
That's correct, they do.
At 11 o'clock.
Yep.
That Eastern time. So are we
for the West Coast people?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have YouTube TV. Prime example, just for that. Sorry to interrupt, but I have YouTube TV, and YouTube TV doesn't play AEW at its live time. It plays it on its actual slated time on the West Coast. And to me, AEW's biggest test is going to be this coming Wednesday because they have the NBA, the opening day of the NBA. So to me, that should automatically get people to stay. So that's where I think their biggest test will be.
But yeah, on that issue of retooling, USA wants more adult content, not sexy adult, but they want dark and violent. And we
USA
actually
or TNT?
USA.
USA. Oh damn.
Well, TNT to me, it's iffy because they've been like, oh yeah, we're adult, but they don't let them. They try to mute out shit after Kazarian already said it, but that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
but we could be looking at essentially a WCW like reboot come the Royal Rumble.
Well, you said dark or edgier TV. That kind of sounds like a reboot of the Attitude Era.
Rumor around Stanford is that they're hoping the 2021 Royal Rumble will serve essentially as a big reset for the company.
And that makes sense because the Royal Rumble is probably they're two bigger casual viewers would come in from Royal Rumble to Mania.
Right.
So that makes sense from that standpoint. And plus, I think the thing that's in now is the dark and violent drama. Like when you see a lot of these shows that are getting rave from reviews from like Prime, and that's not even including Amazon Prime. Jesus Christ! But like all these different shows that are on Netflix and Prime, but they're all adult oriented and they're all relatable to the person, to the viewer. You see what I'm saying? Where the person could actually relate it and it doesn't seem like their intelligence is getting insulted. And that's where I think WWE dropped the ball because they kind of look at it from the Twitter game, which I get because the Twitter YouTube game is like short clips where people really won't remember it unless it really, really stands out. But to the core audience, that's where they're losing that battle. So they're serving one by losing the other.
We've been talking about WWE and AEW at the moment. But Impact Wrestling last week had like a major spike in ratings because Kenny Omega, and all of us said we watched Impact Wrestling for the first time ever live in God knows how long. This week, it went down again, and that's kind of like what we've been talking about. Impact Wrestling doesn't really know how to maintain the the was the word the momentum that AEW gave them that one week. Correct?
Well, it doesn't help. Tony Schiavone was talking shit about it went from one person to six. So yeah, it doesn't help. But I mean, but Impact's been one of those things where it's just been on. I feel like it's been on the deathbed for 15 years, and it just don't want to go nowhere.
Do you want to go away? I like Impact.
I mean, to me with Impact, I never fault the wrestler on Impact. I always fault the people who put them in the position to get them the exposure that they should get. If that makes sense. I always put it on management. Like when Impact was fucking up, TNA, when it was TNA and it was fucking up, I never threw it on the wrestlers. I always threw it on Dixie Carter because I'm like, yo, your job is to get these people exposed to an audience bigger than the core base. And wrestlers can only, even though WWE wrestlers do that a lot through their social media, but they're a big machine. When it comes to something like Impact, I feel like those wrestlers got to work 10 times as hard just to get, to get just to get the relationship with those people out who are not people who don't watch it, who don't know what channel. There's people trying to figure out what the fuck channel Impact was on for Kenny Omega. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
That is a problem.
Yes.
And that is on the company. That is not it's on the wrestler to a fault, but that is on the company not doing their job and making sure that their product reaches out to a maximum audience.
Shooter, you want to add to that?
I mean, yeah, we've been to this, time and time again, that even with, essentially the reunion of, the
Bullet
the
Club.
biggest stable of wrestling history. I wasn't looking for the name. I was looking for a descriptor. And yeah, the fact that we got an announcement that Kenny Omega will be competing on a Impact pay-per-view for the first time in a 6-man tag with Gallows and Anderson against Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns. What does that remind you of?
That this could have been New Japan versus Impact Wrestling rather than AEW versus Impact Wrestling?
Nope. 1996, July.
Ah,
Somebody is gonna turn on Impact. I will say this. I do think Impact is gonna see a bit of a rise in their pay-per-view numbers.
oh, without a doubt.
But they gotta get accurate measurements from all platforms.
Right.
And that being said, I'm not exactly sure if that 6-man tag main event was even necessarily a good idea. Like, immediately. I mean, yeah, they could be. They're most likely testing the waters for a Omega Swan.
Yeah.
Down the line. But most likely either somebody's turning on Impact or somebody from AEW's coming to help Impact.
Could be Moxley. I mean, he might be back by the time that pay preview takes place.
I think it's gotta be Hangman.
That would suck.
I mean,
I mean,
again at the end of this, I said it's gotta be Hangman as the one who steps up to be AEW's hero.
and I mean, it should be him. I mean, Kenny Omega is the New Japan guy. John Moxley's the WWE guy. Hangman Page is kind of the AEW guy, no?
Yeah, I mean, with no disrespect to Hangman's work in Japan, he is the one of the. He's one of the few guys that I think we can honestly say AEW has established as their own.
Yes.
So, but again, ratings at this point are fickle, and quite honestly, we're at a point where they're not going to matter.
I think we're already at that point.
Yeah, we've been at that point. Considering that Universal then came out with like Peacock for all of their new and original content. That kind of, you know what I mean? Like that's where I feel like the future is all going to be all digital and streaming, and all these companies like Disney done literally like bundled ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus for like $12.
Yep.
So for $12 you get 3 of the biggest platforms as far as streaming and on-demand content.
And
That's and not even including that Verizon is literally giving that shit away for free just for fucking being a member.
the one
So
thing,
that tells you the money is going to. They see where the money is going.
and on that Impact Wrestling episode, Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone made an appearance again. Tony Khan, great antagonizer. Do you think maybe we could possibly see a Tony Khan, Tony Schiavone versus Don Callis and the other announcer on Impact, like a
Who,
tag
Josh
team?
Matthews?
Josh Matthews, thank you.
No, because Callis hates Matthews, so.
I hope not. Jesus Christ, man! Like Tony
I mean-
Schiavone, no. I mean, don't get me wrong, Tony Schiavone, UGA guy, but nah, bruh.
Alright, let's make it a singles match. Tony Khan versus Don Callis. Could we see this match happen?
Hell no.
Only if Callis at one point in a match stops and goes, Khan!
And then Great O'Khan comes out. Boom. There we go.
Boom.
We're making fantasy bookings here.
Yep, Vulcan grip. Let's get it.
One last thing I wanted to touch on. Charlie Haas resurfaces after many years away from the ring. I'm sure you saw it, Scooter. That was quite interesting, wasn't it?
I couldn't hear
Charlie Haas resurfacing after many years away from the wrestling business.
I had not heard about that.
Oh my God, really? Well, yeah, he they showed him and he looked not in the best condition. He said he was physically fine and I want to say physically fit. He felt good, but he didn't look good, if you know what I mean. So,
Yeah,
Kalika,
of course, still married to Jackie Gata.
I mean, stuff like that I take with a grain of salt because everybody was just talking about how fat James Harden was fucking 2 days ago. and everybody's just like, oh my God, he's this fat motherfucker. And it's just like, you know what? Like, no one knows what's going on except for him. And if he says he's fine, he's fine. I'm not going to go too deep into people's appearances and shit. Like it's...
Oh my God. He looked sickly.
Damn, right when I say that. God damn it to hell.
He looks like Val Venus now. Like Val Venus now. Not like Val Venus
then
now. But Val Venus.
But forever.
Forever.
Yep. I see Perk Angle.
Perk Angle? No. Oh, we'll see, man. Let that man live, man. Let him live.
I guarantee if you put a picture of Charlie Haas now with a picture of him from 2003,
yeah, everybody be like, what the fuck? I get it. Yeah. I totally get that shit. But I think in my lifetime, I've only seen one person age gracefully as hell, and that was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Oh, God,
That's the only motherfucker. That's the only person I know who still looks the same from fucking 1988. So that's why I'm like, I think that shit with a grain of salt. Maybe him and Pharrell, because I swear they got like vampire blood or some shit. I don't know.
we'll conclude our news. Once again, I forgot to mention it at the top of the show. We did do the Masha Slamovic interview last week. An incredible interview with an incredible talent. We wish nothing but the best for her, and we would love to talk to her once again. No, Scooter?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And hopefully I won't have to stay until 5 a.m.
This upcoming Wednesday, we got Jack Stevens coming up, and the interview that no Wrestling with Entertainment fan wants to miss. Incredible stories that you did not see coming. And we want to do next Wednesday, the Wednesday after that, I believe it's the 30th, a little bit of a best of our interviews, the best of the 8 questions of doom, as we have dubbed it. So we hope to bring that to you as well. And who knows? The new year's coming up. New wrestlers, new opportunities. The sky's the limit for Wrestling with Entertainment. No, Scooter?
Absolutely. And I've got a little bit of a hidden project. Oh, I'm not going to keep it hidden anymore, but something I've been toying with, and hopefully I can have some sort of beta within the next couple of months. But a Wrestling with Entertainment soundboard.
Ooh. You mean I could do this show alone with sound bites?
I mean, all we need is pay preview, and you'll be good.
Oh, fuck you!
I got the idea from our interview with Holden Albright, where he said she hit me in the dick, and I just kept on playing it over and over and over, and I'm like, yeah, we gotta get clips of these. We gotta get these little
sound bites. Yeah, buddy.
All right. Well, let's see what that goes.
Maybe we'll get Mitch. Excuse me, I didn't hear that.
Either that or crickets.
This is also the last episode of the preview and review format of the year. Next week, next Saturday, we have a very special edition of Wrestling with Entertainment, Wrestling with Trivia. And me, Scooter, and Mitch will compete on a game show format, with Kaliko giving us wrestling trivia about WWE. And that should be really fun, super competitive, me and Scooter are. So I can't imagine we're not going to try and kill each other on that show.
Let's hope not. I mean, hey, I'll try my best to make these questions, as difficult as they seem. But granted, I keep telling people it's based on a game where the history stops right around 2012, 2013. So if you think from the golden era till about, I'd say SummerSlam 2012, because it didn't even include Summers like 2013, which is literally like CM Punk versus Brock and all them. So it didn't include that year. So basically from the beginning of WWE up until 2012.
I mean, anything after that would be, super easy because, it was more current, it was more it's fresher in our minds. So I prefer that.
Man, considering these last couple years, some people might want to forget.
Exactly.
On a little bit of a more serious note, for those of you who don't know, if you don't know by now, you should. James and I are huge Star Wars fans, and we have lost one of our most iconic actors
Oh
in the
yeah.
That's
Star
right.
Wars universe, Jeremy Bulloch.
That's right.
You know better as the
O,
man
o,
under Boba Fett.
OG Boba Fett.
That's the perfect analogy.
Yep.
OG Boba Fett.
Passed away at the age of 75.
And just when they reincarnated his character. I mean, it really
Yep.
sucks.
Yeah, one of the biggest socially interactive shows of 2020.
I mean, that was, we still have a couple more days of this year, and this really sucks. So, hopefully that's it. God
I mean,
willing.
I don't know.
Let's
I don't know if you guys have seen the WWE commercial where they actually personify 2020 as this talking, dripping ooze monster, like a larger, taller version of the Mucinex booger.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I
And
didn't see that.
it comes out and basically takes the place of whoever's in the ring with someone throughout the commercial. Like Drew McIntyre, 2020 gets Claymore kicked. Nia Jax puts 2020 to a garbage can. 2020 gets attacked by the Fiend.
Yeah.
And then 2021 comes out, kind of looking like a cross between Buzz Lightyear and Playmobil.
Because we're going to infinity and beyond.
Pretty much.
I don't know who was responsible for that, but it's an interesting analysis.
And on the 2nd of January, we have a Royal Rumble watch along for 2-year anniversary. So we got that coming up, and then on January 9th, we are back live and in living color, as some would say.
In living color.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of shit to catch up on because you got TLC, damn, Wrestle Kingdom, which is hopefully Jay White's year. Which I must admit, you sent me that survey and I filled it out. I was like, yo, this is fucking. Some of them were no brainers, but some of them were fucking hard. Jesus.
And a quick shout out about that survey, the wrestling community podcast. All those results of that survey will be released on their show. So we're talking a lot of shit tonight.
I know.
And as you said, Wrestle Kingdom's coming up, so I mean, we're not going to be here before the show, so let's preview the motherfucker right now. We are wrestling
that's a lot of goddamn.
Wrestle Kingdom 15. It's January 4th once again.
I think it's 2 nights. 2 nights.
Yeah.
And January 5th.
Yes, give me all of them.
And we never touched on it last week. Hiromu Takahashi won Best of Super Juniors.
Of course.
God won World Tag League.
As they should.
I mean, didn't I tell you when we first covered World Tag League? I said it's been theirs to lose for the last 3-4 years.
But they, bro, last year they were clearly the best tag team, and then they got beat by Finjuice, which was bullshit.
But they were tag team champions. They needed somebody to fight.
But I get that. But the problem is you can't be sitting up here having Okada run through the goddamn G1 as the best wrestler in the world and not have the best tag team run through everybody like that. So, I mean, to me, it's a little inconsistency. But then again, 2020 for New Japan has been inconsistent because Toru Yano is like their fucking MVP, considering the fact that he at one point was leading in the world tags and he's the king of pro wrestling and he was at one point in first place in the block for the G1. So his 2020, everybody else is like, fuck 2020, and Yano's like, shit. Greatest year ever. So it's crazy with New Japan.
And like I said, as of right now, on the 19th of December, more matches probably will be added, but we won't be here to cover those matches, so we're gonna just cover the ones that was made available to us today. So let's get into it.
Get into it.
Match 1, Hiromu Takahashi versus El Phantasmo. Scooter, who wins?
Takahashi.
Kaliko?
The Time Bar.
I disagree. I think El Phantasmo is going to win this match. And I give you 2 reasons. Number 1, he ain't fucking flying to Japan for 2 nights to lose on the first night. And second, Hiromu has won his last 2 Wrestle Kingdom matches from last year. At some point, he needs to drop one, and he's fighting Ishimori on night 2. And he has an opponent.
No, the winner fights Ishimori on night 2.
No, Takahashi still wins. Takahashi still wins. Fights Ishimori on night.
Really? Because the way that they set it up, or at least for what I was looking at, I could be wrong. But the last time I looked at, they tried to make it seem like the best of the Super Juniors in international versus the best of the Super Juniors in USA. And I get your point why it's like a booty call. I'm not going to fly all the way over there to not get no tail. I get it. But if you look at to the ticking time bomb, yeah, he had his last 2, but keep in mind, New Japan always has this thing where they make the guy look like they could do it again just to fall short. They're sticklers for that. Prime example, Naito 2020 versus Naito 2019.
True.
It was just the inverse. So they're always known for that shit. So I wouldn't put. That's the only reason I would say that he'll win night 1 and lose night 2.
You're actually right, Kaliko. Whoever wins Takahashi versus El Phantasmo goes on to fight Ishimori. So it has to be Takahashi.
Yeah, because it has to be.
He'll win on night 2. El Phantasmo will win on night 2 then.
Yeah, he'll get his win. It just won't be night 1. Like, he'll get the booty, but it just ain't gonna be the first night. You just, hey.
IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match. Tamatanga Tangaloa God versus Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi Dangerous Techos. Who wins, Scooter?
Wait, did you say you did say God, right?
God, yeah.
Okay, because I could have sworn I heard a D. Yeah, this is it's the Gorillas to take the titles.
Kaliko?
After embarrassing them last year, give them the goddamn belts back. God damn, God.
Because they didn't fly all the way from America.
They ain't flying all the way from Japan. The islands to lose. Yeah, exactly. Yes. See? There you go. That's going to be our theme for every American wrestler. I'm not flying. Like when Moxley eventually gets back, I ain't flying all the way back there. So think the fucking out.
Great-O-Khan versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Scooter.
and I'm probably going to get laughed at for this. I'm going to say Great Khan.
Kaliko?
I was gonna say the same thing because Tanahashi, it doesn't hurt him whether he wins or loses this match.
And plus, this is kind of such an odd.
Yes. Oh, there's the gang of those.
Yeah.
There's a gang of
It's
those.
odd because Tanahashi usually has something lined up for Wrestle Kingdom. Not the case this year. Is it worse to have a match against Great Khan or not be on the card at all for Tanahashi? Scooter?
When we invent time travel, we'll come back and answer that question.
Fair enough. Well, Kaliko, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, he's on the card because, like we said, to me, he's the John Cena of fucking New Japan. So it would be dumb not to put him on the card. Like he's still got them hoes screaming his name. So as long as that happens, and they want to see him, they'll see him, and he'll be there. Win, lose, draw.
Like, I'm wondering why they didn't maybe just try to do Tanahashi and Minoru Suzuki just for the hell of it.
That would have been interesting, but it was just like Suzuki was kind of busy with Tagachi, and that's where, with the never open weight thing, so Suzuki was too busy trying to legitimize him in a sense, and it's just like a bunch of people were already dancing, and Tanahashi was really just stuck in a tag team with Kota, and
that went nowhere.
Right? And then when the G1 came, everybody knew Kota was going to be the defending champ, and Tanahashi's just kind of floating, and that's basically what he's doing. He's floating around. He'll take whatever matches he gets, and I mean, at this point, he's earned that distinction. Like, hell, I'll wrestle who the fuck I want. So,
talking about something drawn together, Will Ospreay versus Kazuchika Okada. Scooter, who wins?
Whew. I gotta go with Okada.
Kaliko?
Okada. I mean, I feel like Okada's been like the most betrayed guy in like the last 3 years. Like everybody's like, fuck Okada at this point. So to me,
Sting in the early 90s to 95.
Listen,
I know
Gato
says fuck you.
Okada
Gato says fuck you.
Because he didn't drive 5 minutes from his house to lose to Will Ospreay.
He did not drive 10 blocks from an Uber to lose to Will Ospreay.
He did not get up out of bed just to go downstairs and wrestle Will Ospreay.
Exactly. I feel like Okada's gonna win because 2021's coming. He's gonna be one of the ambassadors. He's gotta be Okada.
And probably the most controversial match on the card, Tetsuya Naito defends the IWGP Intercontinental and Heavyweight Championship against Kota Ibushi. Who wins? Scooter Dust.
I'm thinking there's going to be a double pin.
No, that can't happen. They would never do that in New Japan.
Yeah, one thing New Japan don't do is that funk, and they'll do a draw before they do that funky shit. Straight up.
If Kota doesn't win and then he's essentially relegated to a last-minute match for night 2. It and considering that he essentially had the G1 victory taken away from him, it's I get a very, very weird feeling that we could be seeing not a triple threat match on night 2, but an actual old school triangle match.
Like they did at WrestleMania 10?
No, like they did at Starrcade 95.
For somebody that didn't watch Starrcade 95, could you maybe elaborate?
After the World Cup of Wrestling, where it was WCW versus New Japan, Sting, Lex Luger, Sting, Luger, and Flair, Ric Flair had a triangle match. And WCW's triangle matches were essentially you had to pin or submit or eliminate both people.
Okay.
Yeah. The old school triple threat before
Yeah.
it was like the person, whoever loses the match.
And Flair ended up winning that after getting both Sting and Luger counted out. And then Flair goes on to, in the immediate match following, Flair gets a title shot, beats Randy Savage, I've got a very, it's a gut feeling.
Right. And Kaliko, who wins?
He was very intriguing on that, but you're right. This could go two ways. But here's why it's going to be Naito. And this is why. Remember 2 years ago when Naito lost to Okada, and then the next year they did the first experiment of this 2-night shit, and who was night 1?
Naito
versus Jay White. So there's history there.
All right.
And you know how New Japan likes to call it back. I'm telling you,
Yes,
they're like callback kings, yo. And Kota losing is not gonna hurt him, because to me, he's gonna be the first challenger for Jay White when Jay White wins the motherfucker on night 2. So this is where, because I've always felt like when Jay White lost that match this year, actually, I always felt like by him being in that night 1 main event, he set himself as that top gaijin. As much as Will Ospreay was doing his thing and flippy shit and da-da-da and whoop-de-whoop, culturally, Jay White was like up there. He's in that top echelon. I felt like Evil reign was Jay White's reign, personally.
Right, because Jay White couldn't get there.
Couldn't make it. Exactly. I felt like that should have been Jay White. So that's where I think Naito's going to win to lose to Jay White on night 2, cementing Jay White as that top gaijin. And that's where I see it.
Well, I see. Now, did you watch Naito's press conference when he won MVP of 2020 from Tokyo Springs?
Oh, and he had the food ordered, and he brought the yo, he had his own banquet in that bitch.
That told me I'm not winning at Wrestle Kingdom, so I don't give a fuck. and I'm doing what I want up until that day when I have to do the favor for Kota Ibushi. That's what I got out of that interview. And if you notice, those last two nights that Naito came for matches for Super Junior and Tag League, he
Right.
was old Naito. He was, heel.
Lethargic.
He was heel Naito. He was Rhoda Naito. Well, he was how we originally saw him in 2015. So
Honestly,
that
I,
just tells me, I'm gonna act and I'm gonna do what I want because you want me to drop these titles to Kota Ibushi on night one, and I'm not even in the equation the next night, and that's my take on it.
I can see that point, but I could also make the argument Naito never changed at all. It's just that people bought into his shit. Like he never changed at all. People just bought into the shit that he was selling, right? To me, and that's why and otherwise, if Kota was going to win, he would have been on night 2. That's why I say Jay White's winning, because Jay White's in that night 2. Somebody's closing with him as he's closing as the champ. And that's why I think it's more important for him to beat Naito than to beat the guy he beat the briefcase from. Like, unless that's just like what Scooter was saying, and it's all a ruse for Kota Ibushi to overcome the odds, which that could be in the cards as well. But I just don't. New Japan never goes off script and going back and giving that person the run back.
Well, we'll talk about the Jay White match in a couple minutes. Let's get to night 2. Taichi Ishimori versus Hiromu Takahashi. I only say Takahashi because all three of us picked him to win the night 1 match. So, Scooter,
Right.
who wins?
Well, Takahashi's gonna ride this wave out. I'd say Takahashi is the new junior heavyweight champion.
And Kaliko?
If Naito's losing night 1, then that means Takahashi's going to have to win, because he's the second most popular guy in that group.
Right.
So I would think if Naito's losing the belts, which I believe, he'll get his belt back, and it'll be kind of like a feel-good, melancholy shit for LIJ.
I gotta go with Takahashi as well. Never Openweight Championship match. Jeff Cobb versus Shingo Takagi. Scooter.
If Cobb wins, they're gonna rename the title to Never Open a Salad Weight Championship.
With the mini corns on the red foot. Cobb.
Or maybe a Cobb salad.
Cobb salad. I was going.
Takagi. Cobb is fallen and he's continuing to fall.
Kaliko.
Yeah, Shingo. He is basically his division. I'm not saying that Cobb. I mean, Cobb to me is in New Japan is like what Juice Robinson was in his first couple years. So yeah, he's taking them lumps, fam.
There's 3 LIJ matches on this card currently, and there's at least one loser out of all of them. And I think we could all agree Hiromu is going to win his championship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think maybe Takagi wins But that brings us to that third match I was speaking of: Sonata versus Evil. If Takagi and Hiromu wins, I'm thinking Evil has to win this one. Scooter, do you agree?
Hmm.
Hmm.
This is again another. It's another interesting match because they had decent showings in the G1 and against each other. Wait, did they against each
Yeah,
other?
they
Did they
wrestled.
ever?
They
Yeah,
wrestled
yeah,
at
they
Wrestle
fought. They
Kingdom.
wrestled each other. Yeah.
Yeah. And I believe that was on.
I
Was
want
that?
to say that's how Sonata got in to
Yeah,
the final.
Yeah,
I would
it
say
was.
yeah. It was on Sonata's upswing at the
Yeah.
G1. So yeah, I gotta say, Evil probably gets the win back.
Kaliko?
Evil next. And it hurts me to say that. You know, Sonata's my boy, but I, yeah, I don't see it. His big win was coming back in that G1. That's about as good as he was going to get it in 2020.
And that brings us to our double championship main event once again. Jay White versus either Tetsuya Naito, Kota Ibushi. We've talked quite a lot about this match. I say it's Kota Ibushi, Jay White. Kota Ibushi goes over. Scooter, you said it should be a triangle match.
And I'm actually going to amend that uh, because while we've heard that a certain someone will not be at Wrestle Kingdom, I'm
John Moxley?
thinking I'm thinking that's a lie. And I would not be surprised if Moxley shows up for night 2 and puts the US title into this mix.
Triple champion.
And it ends up being a 4-way. But if that doesn't happen, which it likely won't, yeah, I mean, you know what? Yeah, whoever's champion going in is gonna win, and it's gonna it's gonna show that Jay White's victory to take the G1 contract from Coda was in vain, and that there are no shortcuts to the top.
But Kaliko disagrees with that, because you picked Jay White to win on night 2 against Naito, correct?
Right. Because of the simple fact where, like, if you're going off of what happened, if you paid attention to the last 3 years, the first year, or the last 2 years rather, 2019 was like you would have the fans felt like the Atlanta Falcons when they blew the Super Bowl. Like that's how it felt. And in 2020, by him beating Jay White, it gave the fans that hope, like, oh my God, Naito could do it. And then Naito went on to do it. Now, fast forward to this year, to me, I think he's facing an old foe. And to me, this is where I think that if you were thinking your lethargic Naito was going to kick in, I would think it would kick in against somebody he felt he beat last year. And
That's a good point.
rather than someone, it's almost kind of like when Kenny won when Kenny finally beat Okada and he felt like he was the shit and nothing could touch him against Naito because he already kind of beat him, and then Naito ended up winning, that's where I think the scenario is going to play. So I think Naito wins night one, walks into night two, thinking it's going to be an easy cake, and Jay White gets it. And he's owed it in a sense because he had that belt for like a month and a half just to lose it to at fucking MSG. Then they put him in this hopeful main event. Well, he beats Naito for the IC title, rather, becomes a champ, walks in the Wrestle Kingdom as the champ, gets his ass whooped by Naito. Now he's back as the briefcase holder. Something's got to give. Goddamn it.
I think there's also another factor we're forgetting.
That being?
Do you think they are gonna pull something out for New Year's Dash?
That's right.
They usually
They
do.
usually do.
But to me, I feel like that would be, and this is what I've been thinking from the beginning. I felt like that was going to be the start of the implosion of the Bullet Club because of the simple fact that Evil won the title and people kind of saw him as a de facto leader by having the belt. And I think Jay White getting it puts them two at odds in a sense. Not to maybe eventually a fight down the line, but it's going to be some jealousy there because you got a person who has it and you got a person in the same club who had it and would love to want it again.
I'm thinking G1 2021.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where I think it's going to rear its head eventually. But that's where I think this is where the seeds get planted.
And we will conclude our coverage of New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom Night 1 and 2 preview. And we will be reviewing both of those shows and New Year's Dash on January 9th. And now we are wrestling with WWE TLC. And if you're smart, how should you listen to it? Screw the dust.
On the remix. Quickly. Before he shows up.
Guaranteed to be shorter than all of Wrestle Kingdom.
You could listen to it on the remix on the UNB network. Only live alternative commentary. And the first match out, Women's Tag Team Championship match, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler versus Asuka and a mystery partner that could be rumored to be Charlotte Flair, possibly Becky Lynch. What say you, Scooter?
Not Becky. I'm what it being Charlotte is probably the ideal. But some part of me is thinking Sonya Deville. And I mean, yeah, to a lot of people, okay, but Sonya and Shayna, that's an interesting contrast.
Both MMA girls.
Yeah, given their backgrounds. So, but I mean, Jackson Baszler. You know what? If it's Charlotte, then Asuka and Charlotte will win. If it's anybody else, Nia and Shayna will retain.
Kalika?
Well, you might as well get ready for that retaining because it's going to be anybody it's gonna be anybody else. I feel like Charlotte would come back to something bigger than this. Personally, I
Well,
especially considering she's one of the biggest. She is the
well,
biggest.
But she's never won the tag team championship.
yeah,
so-
that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
True, and I could see where it could set up something where Asuka and Charlotte run it back, but I'll believe it when I see it. Jackson Hazelor, show me, homie, show me.
Same here. Raw Tag Team Championship match: The New Day versus the Hurt Business. Who the best?
In another interesting situation, but I mean, it's gonna be a great match. But unless they're planning on doing something drastic, the New Day retains.
Kalika.
This is interesting because to me, it's like the New Day's been having their number, and it's just like this tells me the third time is the charm, especially the way Cedric Alexander's kind of been on a roll, right?
I mean, that wasn't the case for Cien and Angel.
True, but the Profits were always just a better team in that regard.
True.
Here I just feel like nothing. It doesn't hurt the New Day to lose to them and get it back, because to me, the person that they've been highlighting this whole time was Cedric Alexander, by him single-handedly beating both of them in singles competition. So that's why I think the Hurt Business would get the win to continue that momentum.
I don't know. The most interesting match I'd say on the card: The Fiend Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton in a Firefly Fire match.
Inferno match.
Inferno match. Yeah. Who wins, Scooter?
And I mean, it's the sequel we never knew we needed.
I mean, this is the match they should have had at WrestleMania 34, I want to say.
33. Because I
33.
felt, fuck that. Wyatt should have beat Orton at 33, but that's a whole other story.
It's a match they should have had at Backlash. But I mean, do we have confirmation if this is going to be a cinematic match?
There's no confirmation that it's not.
I mean,
they haven't done a lot of cinematic matches since they've been in the Thunderdome, so.
Well, they are in Tropicana Field, so if you know what, I think, yeah, you know what, it's gonna no, because simply based on what Orton wears to the ring alone, if this does happen in the ring, we'll know just by that. And
depending on how you win the match, whether it's pinfall, submission, or setting your opponent on fire.
Yeah, that's you, and probably now it's. I'm wondering if this is actually going to be essentially a flaming casket match. So yeah, I think I'm gonna say Bray, and I think we might actually see a female Fiend mask.
What say you, Kaliko?
I'm trying to remember. So the winner could win by pinfall, submission, or putting them on fire, right?
No, we don't know.
We don't know
God.
if pinfalls are. Yeah.
Oh my God. So that means Bray Wyatt getting that ass put on fire. Cause ain't nothing ever in Randy Orton's career has he ever came out in anything to wrestle other than those goddamn tights and trunks showing off all of his muscles. So to me, I feel like this would be something where Orton burns him, yet it doesn't do anything. Because to me, the burning part would be to signify what Orton was able to do, and he thinks that's going to be the end of it. So by the Fiend showing that he's beyond that point, that's where I think you see what I'm saying.
Right.
It's like Orton's winning the battle, but the Fiend is there for the war.
And apparently this is going to be a cinematic match, and it is going to take the Firefly Funhouse match from WrestleMania 36 and add fire to it.
Oh well, then that means Bray Wyatt's winning it. Fuck this shit. Because if you saw that shit,
I mean, again, that's just speculation, but after what happened on Raw, I'm really thinking this is going to be more of the way of a flaming casket match.
Which Randy Orton has won before.
No, he's won the regular casket match and then just lit it on fire.
My point exactly. He made it a flaming casket match.
Yeah, and he almost got third-degree burns on himself in the process.
I mean, what about Undertaker? He burned him. He burned him in the casket.
Oh no, because of that infamous trapdoor in the casket. The Undertaker was under the ring.
Pretty much.
When it comes to lighting people on fire, there is no such thing as kayfabe to me. I'm sorry.
SmackDown Women's Championship match: Sasha Banks versus Carmella. Who wins, Scooter?
Corey Graves. No. I mean, the WWE has a habit of doing this, of making a first match back, or even a big first match debut where the person challenges for a title and it never ends up working out for them. So I'm gonna go with Sasha.
Kalika?
Sasha next.
I'm going with Sasha as well. WWE Championship match: Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles. TLC match: who wins, Scooter Dust?
Now, unless we see AJ Styles on his bodyguard's shoulders, Drew wins.
I think that's
and I think this is essentially leading to. I don't think we're gonna see a cash in, but I'm gonna say, yeah, Drew wins, and it eventually builds to Sheamus and Drew at WrestleMania, with Sheamus even possibly winning the Royal Rumble.
Kaliko?
Drew, they invested too much into him in 2020 to lose.
True. I think Drew too. That rhymed. Universal Championship match: Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. I believe this is a TLC match as well. I mean, honestly, it
Yes.
should have been a cage. It should have been a tables match. I mean, the whole head of the table things. But hey, that's why I'm doing a podcast, and they're doing WWE. Who wins, Scooter?
Yep, it's Roman.
Kaliko?
Roman, of course.
Yep. And that will conclude our coverage of WWE TLC. We will not be reviewing the show on January 9th because by that time, who would have given a fuck? If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, vote on YouTube and Castbox. Catch our next interview with Jack Stevens this upcoming Wednesday. Watch us next Saturday on Wrestling with Trivia. And you could always follow us on Twitter as well. You can find me at JamesJ993. Where can they find Kaliko Yachts? I think we lost Kaliko. But
No, I said you could find me to try to do my best Pat Sajak impersonation had I of Kaliko. Sorry.
and Mitch Mayhem has joined us just in time to give his Twitter information. Mitch Mayhem? Apparently we lost Mitch Mayhem as well. And
Hey, can you not hear me?
yes, could not hear you. Can you hear us now?
Hold on. Give me 1 second. I got new headphones. Hold on. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes. And
All
where
right.
can we find Mitch Mayhem if Mitch Mayhem tweeted?
And when Mitch Mayhem doesn't accidentally mute his headphones, you can find me at Mitch Mayhem X, but I don't feel like I deserve a plug tonight. I came in late, so you know.
That's fine. And where can they find Scooter Dust?
As always, at Scooter Dust, and hold it down for the UNB network at UNBS Wrestling.
For Kaliko Yachts, Mitch Mayhem, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.